In this screencast, I'll show you how to export some parent emails from the Gradebook, do some minor editing in Excel so that you can upload these to Outlook web app to make a contact group. So here I am in the Gradebook. I'll try to explain this as thoroughly as possible. If you miss a step, please rewatch the video. This is the best way I thought to show this to people for this process. So here I am in the Gradebook. I've selected a class. I go to Reports. Go to Student Roster and double click that to see the criteria for the report you want to run. Under Output Type, make sure you choose the Export CSV. That is a spreadsheet file type. For sections, you can just do, if you want to just do for the selected class, you can choose that. If you do active classes, that should do a list or a report of all the current active classes that you teach. This might be good if you're at the middle school and you want to make a house list of parents. I would recommend trying the active classes. I'm just going to do selected classes for this example, or selected class rather. For students, do all enrolled. For student info, make sure student name is checked and also check off the guardian email. And everything else looks good. I'm going to run report. When the box comes up, choose to save the report and click OK. I'm going to save this to my desktop. I'm just going to call this class P1 or period 1 for now. And I'm going to minimize the gradebook because I'm done with the gradebook. I'm going to open that class P1 file in Excel. And I'll make this a little bigger so everybody can see what I'm doing here. When I go into Excel, this is all jumbled together. If you place the mouse cursor between two column headers here at the top, so if I place the mouse cursor on the line directly between the column for A and B, I get a little line with two arrows on it. If you double click when you see that, that extends the column to whatever the longest line of text is. I like to do this just so I don't see these columns overlapping and get confused. So I'm going to do the same thing here between B and C. I'm going to place my mouse cursor right between them and double click, and that just extends the column out. Okay, so what we're going to do in the spreadsheet here is we're going to do some coding to make sure that there's a semicolon at the end of each of these addresses. When you copy and paste email addresses into Outlook in the web app version, there needs to be a semicolon. So I'm going to do this in column C. I'm going to click in column C3 because that lines up with my first row of addresses here. So I'm going to do semicolon, space, and hit return. So make sure there is a space after that semicolon there. Now I'm going to click on that first cell, and when I'm clicked on the cell, there's a box here on the bottom right hand corner. I envision this like a shade where you can grab that little box and drag down. This is going to copy whatever's in that cell down to all these other cells. So I've clicked and held my mouse, dragged down, and I release. So now there's a semicolon that lines up with every email address. I'm going to move over to cell D3, and this is where I'm going to do a formula that's going to blend the email address with the semicolon and do the work here for me. So I'm going to click in cell D, type equals, and the formula name is called concatenate, C-O-N-C-A, and as you start typing it, it'll finish, or you can click on the list here. I'm going to click on concatenate. The formula works like this. Whatever's in the parentheses, the cell addresses, it will automatically take that data from that cell and blend it together. So I'm going to follow the help in this little yellow box here. So I need to, where my cursor is blinking here, I need to make sure that is this first column. So I'm going to click here so it adds B3. That's just a single click. I'm going to do a comma. So I manually typed a comma. And I'm going to click on cell C3. So this is what the formula should look like. Equals, concatenate, and then in parentheses B3, comma, C3, no spaces. This all just runs together. I hit return, and if that works, you should see, I'll stretch this column out here too, you should see the email address along with the semicolon right after it. Now I can do the same thing. I'm going to single click on that cell, grab the little handle and drag down so that this formula repeats for all the other rows. And I've got my parent email addresses with semicolons after them. Now here's one thing you do have to manually check. I'm going to go down column B, and if a parent or parents have two email addresses, you manually have to double click to enter the cell and fix those. So I'm going to take out the comma and I'm going to put a semicolon space, and then you can just hit return and it takes you out of the cell. And notice as soon as I do that there, it also does it over here in the concatenate area. So I'm going to do the same thing right here. I'm going to double click in here, semicolon space, and I'm going to scroll down. Looks like there's only 3 rows I have to do this to. So that might take you a little bit of time depending on how many there are, but again, this will save you headaches later. Take out that and semicolon, there we go. Okay, so now I've got all my formula or all my email addresses. I'm going to click and hold on the first one in D3, drag down, so I select all of these. And with all those selected, I'm going to do a copy. I can use my shortcut keys or I can use my menu here, either one. And now I'm going to go over to Outlook Web App. So here I am in Outlook Web App. I've already signed in. I'm going to go down here in the bottom to the Contacts area. When I go to Contacts, I'm going to go up here to New, and there's a little arrow next to New. I'm going to make sure I click on that little arrow, and I'm going to choose to make a new group. So here's the new group I'm going to create. I give it a name. I'll call this Parents Hour 1. I'm going to click in the members box, and this is where I do my paste, either edit paste or my shortcut keys to do that. So there are all the email addresses I copied from Excel. I'm going to click add to group, and when you do that, be patient because it might just get stuck for a minute, or not a minute, but a few seconds. So now once they've added to group, they have added all those email addresses down here. I can go up and click save and close, and I've got my group. So if I look here, here's the Parents Hour 1 group. Here are all the addresses. What's nice about this is, let's say you send your first email, you might get a bad email address and you want to take one out, or you get a new parent, or you get a new parent's email address. You can always come back into this contacts area, double click on a group, and you can add an email address. You can manually type it here, say add to group, or you could find the one that's causing you problems, click on it and choose remove from group. You can edit this group at any time. You don't have to do it all en masse like I did there. You can, singularly add or delete addresses. What's also nice about this is, especially at the middle school, because houses share students, if you make a group, you can come up here after the group is selected on and click forward, and you can send this list to your other teammates, and then that will send it off to them. So, and then they can click on this file from an email and it will add that into their contacts group so they have that list as well. So I hope that helps. Again, if this went a little too fast, please rewatch the video. I thought this would be the best way to show this process, and thanks so much for watching.